Hey, what's going on, guys? So, today, instead of doing the Avatar video, I wanted to do a reaction to this DC Network video. He has a lot of the good ideas. He knows what he's talking about. He's been here way longer than I have. And before we get to that, I wanted to just tell you guys more about me and what got me to here. So, it was last year, it was summertime. I was just, it was vacation. I was at the hotel and I was watching TV and I tuned into Cartoon Network and I'm like, dang, I really missed this. I had that on the whole time I was there. Obviously, we went and did stuff, but every time I came back, that's of course what I had turned on. And it made me remember all the good times back whenever we used to watch Cartoon Network whenever we were kids, etc. Obviously, there was this amount of time where we kind of outgrew Cartoon Network itself, but we tuned into a lot of the Adult Swim type of stuff. And yeah, that's kind of what happened, and it made me miss the old times more than anything else. So, fast forward, I finally got a way to watch what I was missing all these years. And yeah, it's kind of kept me going. And I feel like I have a groove in something that I really love a lot. It's like a missing piece, and it's something that I have passion for, you know what I mean? Besides this, I got the comic thing going on, but this is like something I love. So that's what got me here. DC Network, he's been here for a really long time. He's a lover of Ben 10 and many other series, and he knows his stuff. He's been here, so trust in him, should I say. Anyway, guys, let's get to Reaction Cam. I'm done blabbering about myself. I just thought I might give you guys an idea of where I came from and where I got to here. So here we go. This is his video. It's called Mergers Have Ruined Cartoon Network.
Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. I've been thinking about Cartoon Network's recent history, its recent past, and how over the past decade or so, the whole trajectory that Cartoon Network has been on has really been derailed by the mergers that have happened with Warner Brothers, Warner Media, and Warner Brothers Discovery, respectively.
I also want to add in that I feel like them having HBO Max thrown into the ring has also hurt them. Obviously, they had to move on towards things that are a better way of viewing, because obviously TV is dead in a different way, but TV rocks in a different way, if that makes sense.
Before we get into that topic, I just wanted to announce, if you guys haven't seen already, I recently relaunched my second channel, Trainer DC, where I'm making a lot of Pokemon videos covering the new game that is coming in Pokemon Legends Z to A. If you guys
Also, Trainer, you should check out the Pokemon series. It was actually very well done. I kind of stopped watching it because I think they had a pause in between, but it wasn't too bad. I actually kind of enjoyed it more than the original because it wasn't something I was used to seeing. It didn't exactly have the same type of story where, you had Ash Ketchum go into these gyms. Thought I might throw that out there. But yeah, it's really awesome that you're bringing this channel back, and I'll be making sure to come and check this out. And it'll hopefully get me ready for the new Pokemon game that's going to be coming out. Hopefully on the new Nintendo Switch 2. Anyway, shout out to you, man.
guys haven't checked it out, I'll leave a card above and I'll leave a link in the description and comment section below. Please check it out. Be sure to subscribe because there's a lot of cool content that's coming there, and I'm really trying to grow that channel as well. But back into today's topic regarding Cartoon Network. If you look at Cartoon Network just throughout its entire history, right, everybody really regards the beginnings of Cartoon Network and then the mid 2000s to early 2010s as like the golden era for the channel. It really depends on who you talk to, but most people would agree that the Jim Samples era of Cartoon Network was peak Cartoon Network. A lot of people like Betty Cohen's era as well, and Stu Snyder's era is either loved or hated depending on who you speak to. But I have noticed that regarding Stu Snyder as the president of Cartoon Network, it seems like a lot of people are actually starting to turn around to him, realizing that there were actually a lot of great shows during that era. Yes, live action was a thing on Cartoon Network, but if you take that out of the picture and look at the quality and quantity of shows that we were getting, it was really, really good. But nevertheless, things things started to go downhill, obviously, for Cartoon Network when Stu Snyder was fired, I believe in 2013 or 2014, and then Christina Miller took over in 2014. And obviously, since that happened, the network went downhill after that. And why is that?
I mean, honestly though, I think both of them had goods and bads. I will say in recency, well, not now, but in the recency of whenever a lot of this stuff came, it was a lot higher quality. Back then, we had a lot of action stuff just come in and out. It wasn't exactly bad, but too much stuff was coming in too quickly, and it was very, very apparent. Still, nonetheless, both have their goods, both have their bads, and I will stand by that.
Christina Miller solely to blame for Cartoon Network's downfall. And no, I don't think she is solely to blame. I think that yes, Christina Miller played a huge factor in Cartoon Network's downfall. If you look at the time at which she took over, that's really when Cartoon Network started to prioritize comedies over everything else. In the Stu Snyder era of Cartoon Network, there was a big reliance on action shows. Really, if you look at Cartoon Network throughout its history, it's always had a pretty good balance of series, whether it be in Betty Cohen or Jim Sample's eras, and even with Stu Snyder's as well, but there was definitely a bigger reliance on action series.
Yeah, it was very reliant on action back then. Now these days, yeah, it's basically all comedy. I will say there's like some action, but it's not nearly what it was. You had shows like Ben 10, Generation X, the list grows. It's just like there's probably stuff I haven't heard of. Stormhawk, stuff like that no one really talks about. But there's just so much going on. And yes, it's very much comedy, flooded by comedy. It's good and there's bad to it. So
while Stu Snyder was the president. Obviously, when Christina Miller took over, she removed action completely from the channel. Once Ben 10 Omniverse, the last action show on Cartoon Network, got canceled, and we saw the surge, I should say, in comedies, and Cartoon Network essentially becoming Comedy Central for kids, but just it wasn't good and wasn't funny. But nevertheless,
yeah, this is true. They've turned even Teen Titans into a comedy show, and at that, it was actually an action, and then it got turned fully into this comedy. Everything else around it is kind of, yeah, it's just comedy. No diverseness. There is, I will say one thing though, there is that new show coming, the one with the girl, I don't remember the name of it. It's one of the newer ones supposed to be coming out. She's like a fighter or something. I just can't think of the name at the moment. Hopefully it airs. Hopefully that does well. But they've been having real troubles getting anything through.
If you look at what also was happening around that time as well, Christina Miller took over, but also there was a merger or an acquisition, I should say, that was happening with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers was being sold to AT&T. AT&T bought out the company and rebranded it to Warner Media. And at this point in time, I remember thinking, oh, this might be a good thing. Maybe Cartoon Network will go back on the right trajectory and we'll start to see a lot of good shows and a lot of unique series come to the channel. And boy, was I ever wrong. I noticed once the Warner Media acquisition happened that really Cartoon Network wasn't a priority for them, and quite frankly it seemed like it was an afterthought at times. Really, it seemed like Warner Media's big thing that they were trying to push was streaming and getting Warner Brothers properties into this digital space. Even Christina Miller, I remember listening to interviews with her back in the day, and she was discussing how the Cartoon Network app needs to become a bigger factor in Cartoon Network's portfolio. And obviously, if you remember at that point in time, a lot of the new episodes for series were premiering on the Cartoon Network app before they even came to Cartoon Network. It was like you'd see it on the Cartoon Network app 2 to 3 days, maybe even a week before it premiered on TV. And this was all the priority when AT&T owned Warner Brothers and they were Warner Media. They really wanted to focus heavy on digital. If you look at that time frame, that's when they kind of rebranded Boomerang into an app, essentially. They made Boomerang into the Boomerang app and tried to sell it to parents for their kids.
I do think this would work well, but obviously I feel like the best possible way is to make it into an HBO Max sort of, and include Cartoon Network within it. I don't think Cartoon Network on its own can survive. I think that was a part of the failure of Boomerang app. I'm sure I think it's still going. I haven't really looked into that. But something like that, something standalone. I have heard that Warner Brothers were working on a streaming service, and that's hopefully where all these shows that are disappearing are all going to go to. And I think it's even supposed to be free, which would be really nice if it is. But I don't know. It's hard because they have to obviously make money. And yeah, it's just, I guess a lot of this stuff, it's really not priority at all. I mean, I don't know.
Anyways, as the 2010s passed, I think that AT&T, Warner Media, they started to see the error of their ways when it came to Cartoon Network. They fired Christina Miller. They took a year to basically decide what direction they wanted to take Cartoon Network in, because if you remember, Michael Owaleen was actually the interim president of Cartoon Network for 1 year's time until they went out and hired Tom Asheen. And Tom Asheen obviously had this grand vision for Cartoon Network. A vision that I don't think would have gone over too well, because he wanted to turn it into a Disney competitor, having a live action element, a kids element, a preschool element, combining that all together to be.
That was always a bad idea. I think the one thing that would always fail eventually was the kid stuff. It's so hard to entertain all these type of people. You're having to entertain not only adults, teenagers, children that are not babies, and so on. It just to cycle, and it's hard to please all of them and get a platform good enough to where everyone's watching. Even Disney has failed trying to do this, so it's clearly not certainly working 100%. I think in a way, every network, every cartoon type of network has failed at this. I don't know, maybe Nickelodeon's still doing pretty well. Something I do like, I will talk about this, Paramount does have a television type thing going on where you can watch basically like these marathons of shows. And I think that's pretty cool. Now, I don't know if it's the actual airings, I just think it's like marathons of their shows. So that way you can give it for a kid, or you can just watch something and have it going. So, there's that. Might throw that out there.
Basically be, like I said, the rival to Disney, which again, I don't think that would have gone over too well if it actually came to fruition, but that never did come to fruition. And why is that? That is because during Tom Asheen's reign as Cartoon Network president, another merger happened. This time, Warner Brothers Discovery happened. Discovery merged with Warner Media to form Warner Brothers Discovery, and this again derailed Cartoon Network's plans. What happened then? What happened when this merger happened? Well, this time they decided to clean house. Tom Asheen was out. Michael Owaleen was in as president of Cartoon Network. Tom Asheen's shows that he had greenlit are out. Pretty much.
It's just getting rid of everything over and over again. And sad thing is, this is just a part of business. It's just wiping everything every time because someone wants to put their handprint on something, or it's not what they envision themselves.
They're at a blank slate, but the difference is this time around, at least with AT&T, I feel like they at least tried a little bit. Even though it was an afterthought, they at least did put resources and money into Cartoon Network to make new shows and to just keep the network alive, even though it wasn't flourishing like it was under the reign of Stu Snyder, Jim Samples, or Betty Cohen. But at least they tried a little bit, right? Warner Brothers Discovery, to me, their big issue is, well, Michael Owaleen is the head, right? And I don't think he is doing anything wrong, so to speak. I really do think he's a good choice to lead Cartoon Network. I just feel like his hands are tied behind his back. He can only do whatever Warner Brothers Discovery allows him to do. He can't just pull up a $10 million check all of a sudden to invest it in some new properties and new creators. He doesn't have.
This is true. I think this is the hard part, is he's kind of stuck doing what he does at the moment. I just hope something comes through and they can make something finally happen. But yeah, definitely things have dropped off and it's worse than ever before. Hopefully we get at least one new property. But Tiny Toons not working out is probably a bad sign. And I will say one thing though, Tiny Toons is not that bad of a show. Like honestly, it wasn't the worst. I just don't think a lot of people resonate with it. But I think it was a fun idea. Is it the most groundbreaking thing I've ever saw? No. But I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was pretty good for what it is. Anyway, moving on.
Have the resources to do that. I feel like with Warner Brothers Discovery, the issue is just that they're in such disarray because of their financial situation, and just in general, they're just a complete and utter mess, it seems, at least from the outside looking in. And there's a lot of industry chatter about them, and even they're being looked into by government antitrust agencies because of all the tax write-offs they had from all the show cancellations that they've done. As a whole, their corporation is a mess right now, right? They're just trying to clean up their house, essentially. They're trying to clean up their company and make it, a flourishing brand once again, like Warner Brothers used to be.
It's going to be a very hard journey to get to there. And I think in order to focus that energy, it's going to be hard to climb back with Cartoon Network. Now, was it possible? Yes. Is it going to be easy? No. This is going to be a hard journey for them to do. Because kids these days, it's hard. TV, like I said, it's dying. All these kids, their normal is streaming something and watching it like it's a marathon. They don't want to watch one episode. Anime, oh yeah, they can do that, but they can't do it for these type of shows. Now, anything can still happen. What I do like is that Toonami has been doing this preview for Ninja Kamui. I think that's very good. And then it's next day on Max instead of day of. And that gives people a reason to come and watch live television. I just think that's the best way to do it. And I think that's the best way to watch something, is you're made to watch it. And I think it's just a fun way to do it. I don't think your hands should be tied behind your back. Oh, if you can't make it, you can never watch it. No. I think it gives people enough incentive to go and watch both, not just one. It's smart, it's genius, and it's how the future should be. It shouldn't be, oh, we're just going to put this on HBO Max and then sometimes play this like Tiny Toons and everything else. No, I feel like that's just a waste for everyone. Anyway.
For 30, 40, 50, 60 years. They're trying to clean all that up, and I feel like Cartoon Network is being lost in that. Obviously, their vision for the future of animation within Warner Brothers Discovery is young adult / adult animated content, hence the reason why Adult Swim is getting this big reliance and this big promotion that we've been seeing, and it's taking over Cartoon Network. That's their vision for it. I don't know how long that's going to last for, because it's a matter of how long until somebody else takes this company over, right? Because as I've discussed in this video, pretty much the mergers that have happened, all of these mergers, whether it be AT&T buying them or Discovery merging with Warner Media, they've pretty much derailed the trajectory that Cartoon Network was on, for better or for worse.
I do think their focus is kind of all over the place, but yeah, it is focusing a lot more on animation and especially Adult Swim in general. You have Superman, you have Rick and Morty, and then you have the Ninja Kamui anime, which I think is excellent target space. It lets you focus on not just adults, you got young adults, and that includes those teenagers, and you still have kids that are sneaking and watching this type of stuff as well. So I don't think it's a bad target audience. But this is what I think they should be trying to do, is we gotta quit doing this thing where the identity is just one. I think the only way they're going to flourish again is if they take these identities and they split it. I think we've thought of it for so long as being one identity, and I think we need to just split it into, that way they're both able to flourish in their own ways, and it's going to hurt both of them, but I do think that's the only way anything's going to happen drastically. And I don't know, it's going to be hard, but you got to give incentives to both. So like Adult Swim only doing Adult Swim shows and the Toonami stuff, and then you have Cartoon Network, and during a night maybe they do a 24, not a 24, but like a night checkered past. So like whenever Checker Pass normally starts, it's just like that till the next morning, and then it goes back to Cartoon Network. I feel like that would be a good way to split that identity. Obviously, as time goes, eventually Boomerang switch the shows that are coming on to stuff that's more modern. And they do have these times where they do play the more modern stuff, but I think in order to get with the times, we need to get those identities in place. Only reason people are watching Cartoon Network now is to watch Checkered Past and Adult Swim shows. You know, they're wanting to watch Rick and Morty, they're wanting to watch Toonami, you know, American Dad, Bob's Burgers. That's the only reason they're watching at the moment. And yeah.
We saw that all of a sudden they were relying heavily on digital content, on comedies when AT&T took over. Then
I do think the digital stuff, it's dumb to only rely on that. I think you need to give incentives, because if you're going to be a network, you need to also remember you need those views. You don't need to be like, oh, you can go catch it on stream. No, that's not going to help you live. You're just helping the streaming platform that you're on. And yes, it goes to them too, but
finally, AT&T realized we're handling this wrong. Warner Media, we're not doing a good job with Cartoon Network. Let's fix it. Let's have it be a rival to Disney. Although I don't think that was a good idea, at least they were trying, but then that all got derailed by Warner Brothers Discovery happening, by that new merger happening. So it's really a shame. It just kind of goes to show you that despite how many good people are working on these properties, are working on these shows, are running the network, they're kind of just at the will of the higher-ups, at the will of the executives that run the parent company.
This is true for any company, so you're always going to have your hands tied behind their back. You know, you have the person telling them what to do, and they have their hands tied behind their back by the people that are paying them. And that's the sad truth of it. We won't ever actually know what they're going to do, but I do know that Adult Swim is flourishing good enough to where that's going to be staying. Cartoon Network's in the situation where it's got nothing new, it's just replaying a bunch of older stuff. It's newer, but it's older stuff.
Company, whatever they want is whatever's going to happen. And if a sale or a merger or an acquisition is something that they think is going to be better for the future of the company, for the longevity of the brand Warner Brothers, then that's going to happen. And once that happens, everything else gets thrown out the window and things start from scratch. And unfortunately, so far with Warner Brothers Discovery, starting from scratch, starting from that blank slate, hasn't really been that good. They haven't really done much of anything. At least AT&T tried. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all of this. What do you guys think about the mergers that have happened over the past decade plus, kind of destroying Cartoon Network, really, if you think of it? It's a shell of its former self. It was this powerhouse in the animation space throughout its entire history up until the mid-2010s when it all went downhill once AT&T bought Warner Brothers. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this from DC Network. Be sure to check out my Pokemon channel, Trainer DC, as well. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
So, DC Network, good sir. I think you have a really good video here, and I agree with a lot of your opinions on everything. It's definitely in shambles, but do I think that everything was done in vain? No, I think they did a lot of good things. And if it wasn't for these mergers, we wouldn't always have some of these great shows. Now, as of recently, yeah, we've been in hell. This is where everything is at its deepest end, and where we're having to watch nothing. There's literally nothing to watch on there. At this point, it's like, why watch Cartoon Network? And this is me being honest. I would tell you to watch Adult Swim / Checkered Pass and Toonami, but I wouldn't tell you to watch Cartoon Network right now. I do tune into it, but there's just not a lot of incentive right now unless you just want to watch it for old time's sake and the bumpers, but even that's not really impressive. It's just not what it used to be, and that's true. It's very much the recency, and I think it was during the time I was in high school that it really dropped off majorly. They had nothing left in the tank, nothing to take over, nothing. And I think there for a while they were searching for the next big thing, and the next big thing never came through, and so they couldn't really top anything or do anything. So yeah, this is where we are. This is the state of Cartoon Network. Is it the end? I do not think it's the end. I think anything's possible, and it's a part of history itself. And if they kill off history, we always are going to have our memories. And no matter what, guys, we're going to have Adult Swim. We're going to keep these properties. Even if Cartoon Network ended today, we're going to have our properties. And no, it's not in shambles till they say we're done. It's in the grave. Just because the studios are gone doesn't mean anything. You know, this could be way worse. This is not the worst case scenario. This isn't the happiest, but it's not the worst. We just have to get someone that wants to do something and wants to make a move. Right now, they're one tracked on one direction. And yeah, probably not the best one to talk here, but as of what I've seen right now, it's in a bad spot. Of course, like I said, don't worry, guys. It's here, and we still have Adult Swim and everything else along with it. Anyway, guys, tell me what your thoughts are, and shout out to DC Network and DC Trainer. He's a really awesome guy, and yeah, he's always answering back to people that comment, and he's always answering questions in his videos. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think. Do you think my opinion differentiated it too much? Or, you know what I mean? What are your thoughts about the merger? Like, all the merges. I think that they're bad, but everything happened for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. It's got to do with money, though, at the end of the day. It's business. And that's what's going to take priority. Anyway, guys, peace. Stay safe.